Okay, so I'm sitting there thinking like, man, maybe I need to change my name of my channel from Insights and Intuition by Kelly, Unpopular Opinions by Kelly. Oh my God, damn. I'm attacked equally from both sides. That's all there's to it. And yesterday, after I'd seen that girl's videos and, I was hit with this certain wave of information. And then I was looking for something to watch. And my brother had put on Jesus Revolution. I was like, hell yeah. And so I was really excited because I wanted to see that movie since I had seen the trailer a couple months ago. And so I was watching it. And I did a couple videos at the beginning of it because it was... it is interesting because it's like the same, this is what kids nowadays don't get. It's like us when we were kids back then, we were talked about the same way as kids are talked about now. It's just that's how it goes through generational learning. So, and there's so many reasons to have awareness of these kinds of things, in my opinion. But, my unpopular opinion. So, the show kind of went different, or I just saw things that not things that I wasn't supposed to see, but maybe things that not everybody would pick up on or something. But maybe it would be really obvious to everybody who would watch it. I don't think so, because of like how people talk to me and the things they say to me makes me think, they have very limited sight. So I don't think they get underlying messages at all. So the thing that got me with it, okay, so the thing I loved about it, what I loved about it was the unity and everybody coming together and realizing that there's something more and wanting to feel that search for meaning in life, that search for feeling good, that most people are out there trying to do. And so, the coming together in unity and love, it solves that connection problem, that feeling so alone. And so the connection will elevate you right off the bat, just connecting with others. But you have to put yourself aside in a lot of places. You can't come in and think your opinion overrides another's opinion. And sometimes you just gotta just leave opinions alone. And there's no reason to fight about opinions. Opinions are based through life experience and multiple lives, as a matter of fact. But it's all based on your own experience and what you learn to know. And for there to be so many versatile and so many available, that shows you that there's so much expansion all the time, that there is... for there to be so many varying opinions that people don't understand just shows of all the opportunities to go out and learn, because everybody's opinion is based on what they've learned throughout different lives, but they don't trust themselves. They don't have discernment. They don't know they're connecting to themselves and stuff like that. So they, everything is outside of them, and everything is small and minimal, and it's a very small world we are existing in. These people like to keep it that way. So they prefer the fish tank over the ocean, I'd say. So anyways, but the thing is you're not gonna have a choice. If you prefer the fish tank, you're gonna be shoved into the ocean. And so, that'll be a lot of people's vibration won't be able to handle the ocean. And so, see, they'll need to go back to a fish tank. And that is why, a lot of people are going to transition out, because it's going to be so overwhelming to all of a sudden be thrown into the ocean out of the fish tank. And so the people who are, trapped and being small, and the world being small, it needs to stay small until they're ready for it to be big. So, no harm, no foul, like you do you. But for those of us who are ready for expansion, the expansion's here. And so in the movie, because already, so when I had already done these videos yesterday about, I'll be really happy. And I might have done this one after the movie, I don't remember. But I said I'll be really happy when everybody understands there's no God over them. Like the amount of fear. Like, how do people think this is a healthy relationship with your God? With what you believe is God, you believe a healthy relationship is all about fear. Fear, 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 fear. I'm scared to death this guy's going to damn me to hell. So whatever you say, mister, I'm just there for you. It's like, do you not see any flaws in that whole, dynamic there? I do. I see a lot of flaws, but, everybody's got to figure it out on their own. Everybody's got to go with their own pace. You can't scoot anybody faster. And it's like, it's like we're all on tour and we're all looking at different things, and, if you're in the museum and you're walking through, we're not all looking at the same thing at the same time, and we're not all going at the same pace. So, that's just how it is. It takes time to process. It takes time for everybody to realize things and go through whatever they're here to go through. I don't know what each person's here to go through. I can know what I'm here to go through, and I know I'm here to talk about it. So that's what I'm doing. So, my philosophy, especially hearing that girl who's out there who's been marketing herself as this big spiritual leader. And, and then she's like, oh, God, why are you doing it to me? Why? It's like, what? Like, it's backward ass shit, man. So, yeah, that is, there's so much, there's so much going on there. When you have to go outside of yourself. You think somebody's over you, they're, they're trying to hurt you somehow and they don't care about you. Just like I said, these people who need a God, but they need something to fear on a mass level. And they need everybody to agree on it. Like, you don't agree on it. It's mental. Is like, okay, so when you're telling me there's one God and his name is Jesus, what about Allah? Like, are you going to go and tell them their God doesn't exist? I think they do. I think they do tell them, like, no, your God's a pretend God. Our God's the real God. Yours is pretend. Ours is real. So it's like the ego on these people is like outrageous. And so the movie thing, let me just go on the movie thing. So on the movie, so you have all of this, really cool stuff with these two generations coming together, and especially like the people nowadays, these younger people want to talk about like boomers, which, I'm in that category. So, and they're labeled, reference of, designated groups that you're allowed to be in because that's when you were born, which is so mental, especially when they'll say things about said group. It's like, that's not me. And besides, even when you want to go, like, Vortex and I, we have something in common. We were both born to teenagers into chaos. So we have similar things like that we possibly went through in our life that we would be able to sit down and talk about. And we would have a relation on these certain experiences that we went through because we had something in common. But there's a lot of boomers that were born to a lot of different kind of situations. And I don't even know if, she's even considered a boomer. I mean, I think the date that they decided now that they moved it to is like 1964 forward. No, 1964 and backward is called boomer now. I don't know. They're bullshit with their fucking, everything's got to be a category. So it's such nonsense. And I can't even believe how younger people are just like, well, I'm a Gen Z and they're dumb and blah, 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 blah. And we're that. Okay, good. I'm glad you like to generalize and categorize. Like, that's really cool. I like to be independent. I like to be free. I like to be separate from the pack. I'm not into the pack. So but I mean, there is people who are around your generation time period that have had similar experiences, but we're far, far from all being the same. It's absurd how they try and lump us all together. We all came from different kind of experiences. We have different views on things. We look at life differently. Like, it's mental. And and besides, you can just look at all of the older people and see how versatile. Like, we're not all looking alike. Line up all the 60-year-olds and you're going to see, they're not all going to look like me. A lot of them have got their hair cut off. A lot of them have gone full masculine. Like, it's a very versatile, and it's all based on what people come to experience, to understand about themselves. And they just want to keep lumping us and grouping us together because that's what the controllers do. And so these people who are still, comfortable with that, because they're, they don't have an identity. They are lost in this world that is not giving them much to figure out who they are. It's more taking away, leaving you out there just raw in a desert naked, trying to figure out, like, what the fuck am I doing here? And why am I here? And why is it so hard? And why is everybody so mean? Like, it's hard. So, anyways, in the movie, so it had, these cool things where, people were happy and love. And I was crying. It was really beautiful. And because that is where we're headed. We're headed to unity. It's not like everybody's going to be involved. It's not like we're all going to be out there kumbaya. We're in the weeding out. There's people who aren't ready for that. Just like I said, there's people who need to stay in the fishbowl. They're not ready for the ocean. So they have, it's a different process for them. But anyways, when you can come into your solidarity as your own being, comfortable with who you are, not needing anybody to accept you, because, it is one thing, like, I'm not going to go in and say the acceptable narrative so I can be accepted and not attacked. That would mean I had no integrity. And it's more important to me to be true to myself than to fit in with any group, especially a group that is so angry and mob-like for anybody who doesn't agree with them. It's like, no, you're not the group I'd want to hang out with, sorry. So I'm sure the fuck not going to try and impress you and say what you want to hear so that I can be a part of the clan or something. It's like, no, thank you. And, I'd rather stand out here, by myself than stand with a group of people I don't agree with. So in the movie, and it was cool too, how, these young people, like, there was just that sameness, of like young people being so lost now. And back then it was, it was during Vietnam. It was very divisive. There was a lot of stuff going on. And, in the movie, I think the people are probably more like 16, 17, 18. Like, they are like the older teenagers. When I was a kid, it was like those were the older teenagers you looked up to, like, oh my gosh, they're so cool. And, but, I would have been more like 12, 13, something like that. But I remember when some of this stuff went on, but not to the degree of how it ended up being. Because I remember, the Church of Calvary. I was in California, and I had been to one of those huge churches, a biker one, though. I went a few times. It was when I was working at the tattoo artist place, and the one guy who I've talked about, Todd, I hope our paths cross again sometime, because I do owe him, it's not so much an apology, but it's an acknowledgement. I shouldn't have been hanging out with somebody who was in recovery, and then I was all into it's their responsibility too, but still I feel that I just need to acknowledge that I was, pretty shallow, pretty party. Let's go to Hollywood and hang out and party and do drugs all night. I was like, so anyways, before his and mine's relationship I don't even know at what point in our relationship, because we were work friend. Our relationship kind of, we have a significant impactful thing that happened in our life, and it was not ever acknowledged. So anyways, that is the thing. But anyways, so why was I even bringing up Todd? Like, what was I talking about with him? Oh, because I was oh, because he took me to the biker church. Yeah. So he took me to the biker church, and it was one of those giant ones where everybody's outside, and it was really cool. So it was like in the movie. That's what it reminded me of. In the Calvary Chapel, what they are saying, that became a mega church. And this is what really got me. Okay, so in the movie, it is, you have all of this youth. So they're the teenagers that are just, kind of lost. They're out doing a lot of drugs, which, I mean, even though I was 12 or 13, but I mean, we did a lot of drugs back then, a lot of drugs. So for sure, by the time I was 14, 15, I could have during this time been somebody who was been 14 or 15, but I'm pretty sure when the whole thing started, I was a little bit younger, than some of the kids who were in so their experience was a little bit different. Like people who were born in the late 50s had a different experience in the 60s. They were a lot more of the hippies and stuff. The people who were born in the 50s. It's not the people who were born in the 60s. We were the ones, we grew up more in the 70s. So we watched a lot of things occur. Like it was a lot of action that went on. But then we were the movement in the 70s. And then, and then we birthed the ones that went into the 80s and the 90s. And so in this show, when this big movement happened, so with all the drugs and stuff, there became a lot of addiction, and a lot of people just out there searching and overdosing and, confused as this whole world was so chaotic, like so similar, like we're repeating. And so it was, just, a lot of kids that were just lost, and, a lot of arguing with adults and stuff like that. So a lot of, one thing is that these people who want to shame us boomers, they don't even understand like what it was like for us to grow up. Like they think they've got rules. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. Try growing up with Ozzy and Harriet, these people have no idea what rules are as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, maybe they've got some people in their lives that are really, really strict and structured, but it's pretty extreme for it to just be a few people. So anyways, so in this movement, there started to be some sort of a Jesus thing that happened, where people started going towards religion. And in the movie, they have the old ones that are just kind of like dying out in the church, just so controlled and so disgusting, and they're all just ego and arrogant, and but it just dead, no life in the church. They're just sitting there, doing the practice, going through the movements so that they can go tell their friends, that they went to church on Sunday and they're a good person. But these people that came in, they really wanted to find something. They really understood that there was love and acceptance in Jesus. And so they, got excited about Jesus because, they've all done some things that they feel some shame about, and they want to be accepted. They want to be forgiven. And this is, one of the big flaws for me with it being Jesus. You don't have to go to another third party to ask for forgiveness. This is what I keep trying to get across to people, but it just doesn't go in, is that is the shame that you feel, is your judgment on yourself. You don't need to Jesus can't take that away from you. Jesus told you how to take it away from yourself. Jesus told you to go inside, and he explained to it, but it's been manipulated, and you have to look through in a deeper perspective. When you're looking at things, you can't just be on the surface of anything, because on the surface they've tricked you. But so many people, they don't want to go any deeper. So they'll just let things go the way they are. and not try and create change, not try and take a stand, not try and do anything. And it's crazy too. These people that come into my comments and tell me, that I'm surrounding myself with darkness, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, or whatever. There's bullshit. And it's just like, okay, well, maybe on your platform, you're just dancing around lip syncing or something. I didn't say that. But maybe, on your platform, that's what you're doing. Dancing around singing, and nobody's saying anything to you. But when you say your opinions and people come in and attack you, so I'm supposed to just accept that. That's okay. Just come in and bully me. Just come in and, beat me down so that I don't have a say, because the loudest voice is the one that we need to hear the most of. The ones who have the gang, running around screaming at everybody how they need to behave and what they need to say. And it's so mental. Like this morning, as videos I saw, or some other, now it's not even just Dylan. Like there's a whole bunch of them. And this is the thing, is like, I don't think that some of these people understand there's instigators. Like you've got instigators in all of the different groups. And so at this point, some of these people are instigators. Like it's ridiculous. These men coming out and telling women that they are ridiculous to think that they have periods. Like, you don't have a period. You don't try and act like you do something men can't do, and just absurd shit like that. And it is, it's ludicrous. And for one thing, anybody who even thinks that kind of nonsense is true, because they're legitimately getting kids to believe this shit. They legitimately have a fucking following that believes it's nonsense. It's crazy. And it's not just bots. Like I said, I've had them come into my fucking comments, and I'll go, look, they have an actual account. And there's a certain group of people, and you can tell by how they present themselves. And so they are being so manipulated with their mind. And so it's like, you do understand, right? All they did was take a penis, slice it up, turn it inside out, and call it a vagina. And then the other way, they pull the vagina out and then form it into a penis. You're not getting ovaries and the whole shebang. Like, you're getting hormones to help you, like with hair growth and stuff like that, either to grow it or not grow it. It's like, it's not turning you into a woman. That is impossible. You have to be born a woman to be a woman, or a female. A woman is a little girl who's grown up. But to be born a female, to be a female, you have to be born a female. Just like to be born a male. I can't just put a strap-on and go around and call myself a fella and then get mad at the other guys because their penis works better than mine. It's like, oh my God, it is mental. It's like, there is a natural creator. It is a creation. It is where all things come from, all energy, what they call, out there in the source. It's the source of, it's like the beginning. It's like where the center is. It's where everything comes from. It's the source of energy. It's not a God. It's not a God sitting up there like, I've got nothing better to do than to see what you said last night to Jane. What did you say? Because I don't know if I like that very much. Maybe I'm going to condemn you to hell. It's like, what the hell with these people? And then plus, like, how horrible to just sit there and feel like that much condemnation. Is that the word? But so in the movie, they are, you have this group that's excited about God, excited about Jesus. That is where I started really turning me. How much they just kept pushing this on Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I started being like, okay, so this is supposed to be this new movement that's coming in, because this is supposedly gonna, really shake things up in the collective. This movie is what I heard. And, but what I saw was more control, and not at all opening. And so they push on Jesus, but then always keep giving like all this great stuff. Like you can have You can feel good about yourself. It'll take away your shame. You can be healed. You can let go of things. And there was a cool thing too, where this addict came into. They were already out in the tents. The church couldn't hold them, and they were out in the tent. And the addict came up in a wheelchair and needed, it was at his end. It was like he wasn't gonna make it. He was dying, and all these people went and laid hands on him. It's made me cry. And started praying and healed him. And see, that's true, but it's not healing through Jesus. It's us using our energy to heal. Jesus explained how we have all of this inside of us, but so many people don't want to see their own value. They just have to keep valuing somebody or something outside of them. But we all have that ability to go and lay hands on somebody who is wanting healing and do healing. But see, this is the difference. What I'm talking about is you can't do healing on somebody who doesn't want healing. Like when I go up and I'm like trying to do Reiki on Stella, and she'll wake up out of a dead thing and turn and look at me like, It is because her soul is here having that experience. And just like, somebody's dying and people are like, pray for him, pray for him. You can't, it doesn't work that way. Prayer has an important place in our world, but you can't control another soul. That's where it starts becoming witchcraft or trying to control another's energy. That is, you can't control somebody else's energy. And that you learn, I learned that. Like, I know there's something that you are not allowed to do. Even once you realize you can do it, you're not supposed to do it. So you can't manipulate other people's energy, even though we're in this huge mass manipulation. But it is, there's so much more going on than that. That is, man, so much of this stuff is so hard to explain. It's so big. Because okay, that's, okay, I gotta stay on the other thing, because that just gonna go off on a whole another thing. But so in the movie where they have all of these people, so they got all these kids now, and this is where I remember I wasn't religious. Like, my mom was pushing religion on me from a young age, but then my dad was the counterbalance, who was anti-religion. And so I went to church because we had to go, and I went to Sunday school, and I went to the youth group and did all that stuff because that's what we had to do. It was just, that's what you did. And so I talked about before, that one youth group thing that I went to was a preacher's son. He was the one with all the weed and stuff. Like, it was really, really fun. And, that's the thing of, the kids back then. We're all looking for something. We're doing acid and stuff like that. Not every kid. Like, not every kid. But, when I had that birthday party when I turned 18 and I bought all that acid, like, every kid was lining up to come to that party. Like, so it was, we weren't scared. Just like how we have kids now who aren't scared of, Molly or ketamine or all these different things, and how, they're getting them through that with the fentanyl, so they are taking them out with these new, more synthetic things that they keep doing. Like, there's something that now is not just the fentanyl. They've done something to make it like 10 times more stronger. So, Narcan won't work on it at all. And like, I had seen somebody talking about they had to use like 17 cans on somebody. And what's so crazy too is, as a nurse, like, you didn't just go in and just give Narcan. Like, going and giving Narcan to an addict can have severe consequences. And then they're just handing it out like candy nowadays. I think they want there to be severe incidents. So anyways, this shit just gets crazier and crazier as far as I'm concerned, because the people, these people trust them, and that's how evil these people are. And so all of these kids that started turning towards the Lord. But I was already turning the other direction. I had already been asking questions at the church and in the groups and stuff. And I was already not getting the answers. And so I was already, going, that this isn't right. I mean, as soon as they started pushing a God on me that was angry or judgmental, I was like, this isn't God. It was very weird. So I pulled away from the whole thing. But at the same time, apparently there was a huge movement that was going towards God, towards Jesus. And it kind of trips me out because I try and put that more together with how things went after this. So and I remember when these books started going around all the time, and I'm thinking this is when it was going down, because it went national. It didn't just stay in where the hippies turned to God. And so the book, I think it was called The Good News, and I can picture it. It was black and white. It had a bunch of writing on the front, and then I think it had some sort of colorful letters or something. I mean, so there was some issue that looked like that. I don't know, I mean, all the Bibles that were used, but this was supposed to be, some easy to read Bible that, I don't know. They all were into it. I remember. And I remember there being people who I knew who started being into that book and kids carrying around, but I wasn't in that group. I was, I was more of the smoking porch group. I wasn't in that group. So, but I remember when it was going, and it started making me think, like, how much of that movement moved us more into this super religious, controlled, ego maniac kind of, because there is an aspect of that. But so when they were at the end of the movie and they're showing, and there was other things that went on, where I just saw there's so many flaws with religion. Religion has got to stop. People have got to stop needing religion, just like they need LGBTQXYZ group. And then they need this religion, like all these people who are so dependent on somebody to affirm to them. And then they're willing to follow whatever rules that are put in front of them. And so but so in this, where these people, it started showing like these Calvary chapels, these giant mega churches that popped up to accommodate this huge amount of influx of new worshipers that have come, all these young people. And then they, end it with showing fucking Jimmy Swaggart or something up there. Oh, I swear to God, like right now, I feel like my head's going to just blow right the fuck off. It boils my motherfucking blood. Like, you have no idea. It is so fucking disgusting. That is, and I don't know, in the movie, are they trying to like show us like how cool that is? That is so fucking toxic and disgusting. So you take these people who are looking for something, trying to figure out who they are, they want to connect spiritually, and then let's go in and control them. Let's get Jimmy Swaggart out there. Let's just make these mega churches. Let's herd them into these mega churches. And let's just really control this narrative as these people try and figure out anything about spirituality. And it is some bullshit, man. And people just keep allowing it. People just keep on being like, no, tell me the rules. Tell me the rules. It's like, you gotta let go of the rules. Who are you trying to please? Always fucking following the rules. Like, why is it that it is so fucking difficult to stand in yourself, to figure out who you are and to stand strong? I mean, this is shit I was doing when I was young. Even during this giant mega movement where all these people were going into the mega churches, my mom, one of them, and, she went to a Calvary chapel. She still, I think that is still where she goes, is a Calvary chapel. And And they marketed it all as, this really progressive. These are progressive, Christians. These aren't, controlled ones. Yeah. And then plus, the Jimmy Swaggarts out there, they've all been shown of the corruption, just like the fucking Dolly, man. And apparently there's people who can't accept that guy's a fucking crook. Dude, go look up the other charges. This fucking fella is the problem is with so many men who get into positions of power, and it's not just men. So I'm not going to just say it's just men. Because remember, all our souls have no identity of that gender definition. So, there's women who are evil too. They come in all shapes and sizes. I mean, look at Hillary and Huma, like those motherfuckers. So when, but there is all these men who went into positions of power once they got power and they saw what happens to people. Like people begin to idolize and do whatever you want and hang on your every word and what you say matters. It's like something happens with the other people. The other people lose their damn minds. And then all of a sudden it becomes like hero worship. Like, you've done more than me. You're better than me. And you obviously see more than me and stuff like that. And then it goes to a lot of people's heads. And so they don't stay grounded into reality. They begin to think that they are better than other people. And they do begin to use people. And so there is a lot of, people who have raised the ranks through religion, through anything of power, that have done things that have corrupted other people. And so that is, a part of what humanity is got to witness and understand and learn. And you got to learn and understand it so you can grow past it. If you're blind to it, it'll just keep on happening. You have to see the truth to stop it. Because once you see it and you say, oh, no more of that. No. Then it stops it. Because I have this ability, because we are in charge of reality. We just don't realize it. And, but, that's going to be witnessed as things continue to change and people begin to develop into their true self. And one thing, too, is that one girl, who had wanted to come over, and then I still haven't heard from her, but she is just out there, but video after video. And she's really doing some good work. She really is, and she gets attacked. She doesn't get triggered. And she's positive, and she really tries to call people out and get them to see their own self. And so she's really doing really good. So I say everybody's got their own journey, no matter how clumsy. Like, to me, I could find hers to be offensive, trying to, make your mom look stupid to make your point or whatever. But, it's what she needed to do to break free, and whatever, there's a reverberation on all things. Like, even if you do something like that, it's still something that you would have to face, because you still have to go back to do your own amends or whatever, your own clearing. You can't just carry toxic energy with you. It is going to keep coming up until you release it. And, there is more to releasing than just forgetting about it. Just forget about it. Don't think about it. That's not releasing it. Releasing it is processing it, facing it, looking at it. And the biggest problem is so many people feel so much shame about themselves. And, they feel so bad about who they are. And it's so important to learn to accept who you are. It isn't about, that you're not good enough in any way, shape, or form. There's just, man, it is so crazy. Like, some of the things that you have to talk about is mental. It seems like, man, everybody should just know some of this shit. Like, what has happened here to get where people just don't know some of this stuff. And not even just not know it, but they'll fucking argue. They want to stay trapped. It's like the dog's tied up out back, and every time you go try and untie it, it bites you. It's like, dude, You want to stay tied up out back, stay tied up out back. I don't know what to tell you. It's your process. It's where you've got to let go. You've got to see the truth. And, the truth is, you don't need to worship anybody. You don't need to worship yourself. You have to respect yourself, put yourself above all others. Like that girl who was crying, who thought God was out to get her because she gave something away that she needed for her and her family. And then she gave it to somebody else and it didn't go the way that she was thinking it would. And it's like, but your lesson there is you needed something, your family needed something, and you didn't prioritize that need. You prioritized somebody else's need. So why did you prioritize their need over your need? It's not like it's not like, like in during the Depression, something that I thought was so cool when I was watching old movies where, there's so many hungry people. And there would be somebody who had a sandwich, and if they ran across somebody, they would share the sandwich. They wouldn't just give their whole sandwich. Here, you take it. I don't need it. No, they would share their sandwich. Here, I have enough. I can share with you. And, bring us in together. So and I don't know this girl's whole thing. I'm just giving it as like a case study, just something for you yourself to go in and think about things when you're making choices, to just give you more reference. I'm not judging, like I don't even know her whole story. It just brought up other things in my mind that I needed to share about. And so if somebody, comes to you and they need something, they want something you have, and it's going to cause you problems, but then you feel like, well, you're not a good person if you don't just give it away. You got to trust the universe. Like there's a whole thing about that, because I trust the universe all the time. I'll give something away, but when I give something away, I've let it go. And I trust that when it's supposed to come back to me, or anything that is supposed to come back to me, that it will come when it's supposed to. And so just like, go spend my money on, doing whatever, then, and I know that it will come back to me. It isn't like I have to, I don't know how to explain this. And I don't want to even go too much into it, because then it sounds like I'm judging, and I don't want to fucking deal with the other side of that. I don't want to be shown anything about like where I'm judging somebody, because I don't feel judgmental towards, to me, being judgmental would be like, they're a bad person, they're stupid, they're this, they're that. And when I say people are ignorant, that's a different thing. Ignorance isn't stupid. Ignorant is you don't have the information. You're ignorant to that. You don't know anything about it. You have limited resources about something. That's ignorance. Stupid to me is, you have all the information and you're still making bad choices. That's just stupid. And, retarded, that's a whole nother level. As like, when you're just making choices that just make no sense. It's like, are you even thinking things through? What are you doing here? So, anyways, the, in the movie where it was like, they took all of these people and wrapped them up, put them in mega churches, and put Jimmy Swaggarts out there to control their mind. It's no wonder that there has been such an implosion on religion, where so many people have, stepped back from it, because it's been so manipulated, and so much like those mega church Jimmy's, all those people really showed, disclosed to us the corruption and the money behind churches. Churches are, the crown and the church are in bed together. And the church goes together with the governors. The governing institutions are all wrapped up in the religious institutes. It's all the same. It's all about the control. They use one another, just as the media, as the development is in order to control us. They're all part of the same group. It's a certain group that just tries to figure out all these different ways to control people. And so, we have all of these people at this point now who don't even, it's weird because in the narrative, part of it is, Dylan's out there, well, God makes mistakes. God made a mistake because I was supposed to be a girl. You've been a girl 364 days, dude, and you're not even really a girl. I don't even know that Dylan has had surgeries. I mean, Dylan was showing themselves out in Denmark in a little swimsuit going to jump in. And it's like, dude, I'm pretty sure you're still a fella. Like, I don't see anything girly about you. But anyways, he's the one who's out there, 340 days at this point of being a girl. And he's not just Budweiser. I mean, this fella does commercials all the time. Yeah, I mean, the same with that other, I think that James Jones or something. I don't even know the other one's name. I've seen him called Buffalo Bill. I don't know. He's another one that is, beard, short hair, makeup, and does tampon commercials. And, I mean, they're out there doing Sephora, Ulta, all these makeup commercials. It's like, but, it's the girls who are in that group are the ones that pour on all tons and tons of makeup. I mean, once you start waking up to so much stuff, you start realizing like the makeup is not just toxic, but it's there for you to begin to hide behind so that you begin to not like yourself. A whole thing with the filters and stuff. Like even where people come on and say nasty things about people. It's like, so you just want to look at filters all day? Some people just want to be in a made artificial verse, And you got Matthew McConaughey out there help you along the path. So, his video popped up again the other day and he started talking. I just clicked out of it. I was like, well, I could go in and listen. Maybe he's really trying to tell people, the bad things about it in a secretive way. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just like, all people are going to be exposed for who they are at their core. There's no way to get around it. People will be seen for who they are. And that is why, we're seeing so much evilness come out of people because it's stored inside of them. It's stuff that they hold inside that they haven't let go of. They go around bullying and being mean and telling people to shut up and, calling them names and stuff like that. And they still see themselves as the victim. They can't get out of that victim mentality. It's important to pull yourself free from victim mentality and understand, you're going to stay in that. That's a timeline of not loving yourself when you're a victim. In empowerment and loving yourself, that's the new timeline. That's when you step into your own, when you step away from the crowd. And that is why, these groups have to dissolve in order for certain people to step away from the crowd because they're so attached to needing the crowd to show themselves because they're so insecure of standing out there alone. And, it's going to be a huge movement as people begin to stand in their truth of who they are. And, it's going to be chaos as this is all going on because the people are so dependent on these groups. And religion is a big one. Like when I was watching that, I was like, okay, so what is the movement here? Like, you're trying to get people to go back on Jesus. Are you trying to just disclose how the church has interfered with spirituality? Are you like, I'm just not even really sure what, but each person, no matter what you watch, you're going to see what you're supposed to see. Just like when I see this stuff, I see what I'm supposed to see. And each person's going to see what they're supposed to see. And it's whatever you're supposed to be learning. Doesn't have to do with what I'm supposed to be learning. It has to do with what you're supposed to be learning. And so, this stuff is going to continue to dissolve so that people can become their own. Religion is going to be a big one. Man, I cannot believe it is so mental. It's just the same as where I have these people come in and tell me biology doesn't exist anymore, old lady. That's, you know, you old people need to hold on to biology like it's like, what? Oh my God damn. And then these people, there is a Jesus, and he's not happy with you right now, and you know, there's only one God, and his name is Jesus, Holy Lord of the people. Yeah, it's like, dude, like, you know, I'm doing pretty good, and I'm not, you know, I'm not shaming Jesus. I'm just, you know, Jesus is just Jesus. Like, Jesus is his own fella, you know, his own experience. As far as I'm concerned, Jesus went out and said a bunch of stuff that I already know. You know, the answers are inside of you. The truth is in you. You don't go to another person for your truth. You don't go outside of yourself to worship. You have to know your own value, your own power. That's a sovereign being. That is an energy that has discovered itself. You know, this is about consciousness understanding itself. And so many people want to just keep themselves, you know, as part of the pattern. They don't want to cut the fabric. They don't want to see what it's going to turn into. They just want to, you know, maybe repin it. Let's move it around a little. Let's pin it again. You know, maybe it'll look better this way. Maybe it'll look better that way. You just got to go in there and cut that fucking fabric with that pattern that you have, sew it together and put it on and wear it and be proud. And, you know, when it doesn't fit anymore, put it aside and build a new one. There's nothing that you have to stay held into. It's not like you are bound to your opinions forever. You can never change your opinions. No, your opinions should be changing as, you know, as you change, as you grow. You see things differently. You see things bigger. You hopefully, for fuck's sake. I mean, it definitely seems a lot of people want to go smaller. They don't want to go bigger. And, but, you know, in a healthy, productive development stage, you're growing bigger. You're coming into your own. You're understanding who you are. You're not caught up and hung up on what other people think of you, because that's a trap. When you start worrying too much about what others think of you, you start trying to please others and be something that you're not in order to please somebody else. And so, you know, those are all the things to catch on yourself. And those are the things that you need to process, not just to look away from, but process so you can understand yourself, why you make the choices you make, why you do the things you do. Why do you not feel that you are God? Why do you not feel like God is inside of you? Do you not feel worthy enough that God can't be inside of you? Do you need to worship something outside of you that feels more safe? Because it's perfectly fine if you need to, you know, name your God and call him Jesus, and then, you know, set him out and talk to, you know, it's however you perceive. But, you know, I mean, it definitely we're moving into a time of sovereignty. We're moving out of a time of third party. You know, that's why it's not going to be corporations feeding us anymore, which thank God. Yesterday I went to go make a sandwich. I was going to make a tomato and lettuce and toast, you know, like a BLT with no bacon. And so I had this lettuce and I got it out and I'm pulling. It's like, this is not fucking food. What the fuck? It is plastic. It is not real. There's so much food that we are trying to eat, and people are like, things don't taste right. Yeah, because we're eating fucking plastic. It is, and that's why it has to change. We can't be worshiping corporations and asking them to feed us, asking governors to feed us and stuff, because they've taken advantage. People who get power take advantage. And so we don't need to give our power over. We need to pull our power in. Understand that we are the power source. The power comes from within. And as long as you're giving it away to everybody else, you're not leaving yourself very much. And the only reason to be giving it away is because of insecurities, not feeling good about yourself, not feeling like you're deserving. So, it's the process to figure out, how do you feel deserving? What do you have to process? What do you have to release so that you can feel good and feel strong and feel independent in your spirit? And another thing too, where I see all these people constantly with the evidence. Oh, give me evidence. Show me evidence. Where's the evidence? And how many people are out there just, oh, the evidence. Oh, right here. This evidence, this evidence, this evidence. It's like they're using evidence, which in a time of misinformation, does it really fucking matter? And they're using this evidence to try and prove or make their point, rather than, it's like having a group. It's like still needing a group, rather than just to stand in your like truth. Like, I'm not going to show you fucking evidence of the fake fucking sun and shit. Like, I saw it. I knew it. I talked about it. And whether or not people thought I was crazy or not, I knew that's not the fucking sun. I've sat and worshipped the sun. I have laid in the sun for years and years and years. And I fucking tell when it's not the sun. And I don't need any fucking science to tell me. I just need my own fucking self to tell me. But, I've been on this, journey to self, or it's different stages. Like, it is a total, because I was very weak. I was, and that's probably why I'm so much now about, be strong, because I was weak. I was, in every relationship. Oh, don't be that way. You need to be this way. It will spin your head trying to please people, trying to be something or someone you're not to please others. And, I already lived that. I already went through that for decades. And, I'm not doing it anymore. And keep in mind is, I had already gone through my spiritual awakening way back then, 40 years ago, pulling free from the church, and, started being like, reincarnation is what's real. So when you had all these people out there with their, the word book, or whatever it was called, the new word, or the whatever, that new Bible, where everybody's running around with that. I'm talking about Shirley MacLaine and reincarnation, and people are just like, okay, crazy person. It was like people thought I was crazy. People didn't want to talk to me. And so, but I learned a lot of stuff. And that is why there's a big difference of what I know and what somebody who just woke up knows about spirituality and reincarnation. Like, there's something comes with, when you've known something for a while and you've studied it, you've looked into it all throughout the different times. Like, even if I wasn't, going to church on Sundays and reincarnation, practicing reincarnation person, or whatever the practice would be. Like, I don't know, practice for spirituality, everything's got to be so designed. But, it wasn't a daily practicing. It was books I read. It was the stuff I was interested in, and so I read a lot of stuff about it. I've watched a lot of stuff about it. But still, by the time that in 2015, when I started healing, and then when I started finding out about Dolores Cannon, like, that was under the radar to me before. So that's why I'm saying there was stuff I was still missing out on that was, available to some people. Some people already knew who Dolores Cannon was. But anyways, all I know is I hear people out talking about things that they're given completely wrong information. It's like they haven't even looked into it or studied. And, but each person, it doesn't matter. Each person, even if you're following somebody who doesn't know anything, that's for you guys to figure out together. You're linked together at that point. And whatever they discover or you discover. It could be like if you're following somebody and you're believing everything they're saying, and then you figure something else out, then they're not going to benefit from what you figured out. But anything they figure out, you can benefit from if you're following along with them. But, each person needs to, I think, if you're just trying to discover yourself, is follow all different kinds of people, not just all one group and where everybody's kind of saying the same thing. Go and look at all different kinds of things and different kinds of people, and don't limit yourself when you're trying to discover who you are. Don't just go with what people say is acceptable. Don't just go and go, well, I'm awakening, so that means I need to go find the love and light, the 4D, 5D people, and just follow along what they say. I'll go find the vegans and see what they say. No, don't do that. Just, you can go listen to what everybody says. Go listen to what everybody says, but don't get too caught up in one group. Like, where you're just, what's this group says this, and that's the only way it is. It's like there's lots of information. And the wood guy came yesterday, and he just came by himself, and he was very chatty. And so, he even sat down in his truck and just sat there talking for a while. And so he told me, and I could tell that, he was kind of embarrassed of the crazy stuff he's seeing. He doesn't want to talk too much, and because it's so crazy, he's like, I don't know, it's just really weird. He's like, I just don't understand what, like the Aurora Borealis, how did it move? Like, it's always been in the same place, and all of a sudden it moved. And stuff like that, where he's just like, so we were, having a lot of talks about people, the sky, what's going on. And, and he was just like, I just don't know what's going on, I mean, and I said some stuff about the sky. I said, the footage right now that's really fucking cool is that one with the golf tournament. And they've got the golfers out there in planets up there. You can see this big ass planet. And the commentator starts saying, well, that's quite unusual, isn't it? It's really an unusual cloud. I haven't seen anything like that. Because it's not a cloud, motherfucker. It's a fucking planet, bitch. And that's one of the things I was talking to the wood guy about, too. Because I was like, so are you a globe person, or are you a flat earth firmament person? And he's sidestepping all around, I'm like, oh, how do I say this without, because either way you go, you're going to have a group that's going to say, what, you fool? Like, that's where we're at. And, but I'm not going to say that to anybody. Like, you think it's a globe, then, yeah. But no, he definitely was like, no, it's not globe. Like, he started going over the things that don't make sense. And like, even back when we were in school, questioning, like, about gravity and stuff, like, the stuff doesn't make any sense. So we came to the conclusion, like, no, we're sitting, we're a flat plane, and we're not out in space spinning around. And so where the hell are these planets coming from? And that's the thing. And how are they getting on which side of the firmament? How are these planets showing up in our orbit like this? How are we being, it's trippy. And so that is where, things are realities. They're realms and dimensions and stuff. Like, are these planets just appearing now over, vibration? Were they always there, but we couldn't see them because of the vibration? Because we were so low, but as we awaken and we raise our vibration, we begin to see the things that are all around us. And as the things go and start, it's our energy, it's our awareness that blows the lid off of everything. And so, anyways, I was just like, that was really cool. For one thing, to even get to have a fucking conversation with somebody, to sit out and talk about like weird shit. And we're sitting outside talking, and the one neighbors next door were walking and walked into the thing while him and I were sitting out there talking. I was thinking, I wonder what parts they heard. Because they're very, I think they're starting to, like, things are starting to be uncomfortable, because the people who are really trapped in the 3D, things will just keep getting more uncomfortable. Like I said, that other week where she messaged me and she said, like, every fucking thing all week long just was like, one chaotic thing after another, and that's how it's going to keep going. But anyways, while him and I were out there having this talk, I was wondering what parts that they heard, because she would definitely, I mean, I can't say for sure. I think a lot of women who were very supportive of the community are being offended when you're coming at us telling us like we're no longer allowed to call ourselves women. We got to quit pretending we're the only ones that have periods, and just the weird shit. Like, but remember, it's the absurdity that wakes people up. And so that is what is necessary to, get people to think for themselves. So I think that a lot of women, are starting to be like, wait a minute, I'm a woman. I've had periods since I was a kid. And starting to really stand firm in their identity, figuring out who they are and what they feel, how they stand, not just following a group because you want to be accepted and you want people to like you and you want to be, the right person. You want to be what is acceptable. Like, there is no acceptable anymore. You can see it's all fractured. The only person that you need to become acceptable to is you. And you don't ever have to feel like you're stuck being just this one thing. Once you figure out who you are, you can be moving and changing all the time, just as the water is always moving and always changing depending on the direction it's going. It's the same with the human, it's micro, macro. And so don't feel like just because you become one thing that's where the only thing you can stay. So even if you're in your awakening and you never understood anything about spirituality, Jesus, God, or any of that stuff, and your first step is through religion to try and get to that part of yourself, that's fine. There's no shame in that. There's no there will become a point when you love yourself enough to understand that there isn't somebody who hates you up in the sky who's trying to condemn you for everything. That is your own projection of self that's condemning you. And it's you who holds you back. So it's all part of the process. So go with the process and, love the process and be open to the process. Don't feel restricted. Don't feel limited. Don't feel shame. Just go through it and just know that this world has been so manipulated. They have wanted to keep you small. They want to keep you, unsure of yourself. But you the being, you the eternal being, is the one who has to fight that. You have to want to know who you are. You have to break out of that shell. You have to want to see what's on the outside of that shell. You are the one who has to break out. Nobody can break you free but you. Just remember that. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.